Hi everyone, a massive warm welcome to today's Altcoin Bible, the episode on Wednesday where we check out 3 crypto charts, major cryptos, one that looks really good, one that is one to watch, and also one that looks in a pretty dangerous situation. Now, we're in one of those weeks, unfortunately, in a bear market where not a lot of charts look too good. So my cherry ripe this week is in fact MATIC. I'll explain why I think it's one of the better looking charts right now, but currently there's nothing that really screams out to me over the larger cryptos at least that really wants to move higher really quickly or is positioning itself quite positively for that move. So just wanted to get that out of the way. We've got a lot of macro headwinds above our heads. We're moving into Thursday's CPI print in the US, so that's the consumer price index. That has previously affected markets in a big way. Same with interest rate rises. So we just have to be very mindful of that we're moving into this potentially turbulent period as well. In the United Kingdom, it looks like their pension funds are back on life support. So the Bank of England might need to come in and bail out the situation. So there's a lot of fear and panic in traditional markets, which of course will filter and trickle down to risk markets like crypto. But so far, Bitcoin is holding up reasonably well. Same with altcoins, but those are famous last words. Let's crack into my first chart of the day, and it is my danger zone. I thought I'd start on the negative and then gradually move through some of the positives. Right now, I'm looking at APE token. If you weren't aware, this is the token that accompanies the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So one of the most famous NFT collections in the world. This is a token that gained popularity back in 2021 when I guess the NFT craze was really pumping. They released a token for their metaverse and different things like that. Won't get into the weeds with it. But unfortunately for this token overnight, it has gotten in a bit of trouble with the SEC, potentially being a security or how it was released. Again, you can look into the news, but fundamental analysis or keeping in touch with the news when you're looking at these cryptos is so important, because you can see overnight when the news hit about the SEC, you can see here breakdown, and I've been tracking it in this, you could say pennant, triangle, whatever, but you can very well see how this is positioned. So you've got the top really hitting the top of that line there, bang, bang, in a descending manner, and the bottom of that triangle, bang, 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 going a bit higher. So very clearly it's moving into this pattern, and we're into pretty close to the apex of the triangle. So we're probably about 80% of the way through. That's where you'd likely see the decisive move, either up or down. Now that news has helped it fall and break down through that triangle. So that to me is quite telling. But if you're not even looking at that, you're just looking at the momentum of this move. It's getting weak as it comes up, wicks into it, and then these candles after it are just so weak, it's falling below this key volume profile. Also, the RSI is just trailing away, getting weaker and weaker and weaker across the tops. So this looked like it was going to break down anyway, but it got a real big helping hand from some pretty negative fundamental news in the US. So just keep that in mind, that fundamental news, especially in bear markets, can really move the market, more so to the negative. In bull markets, positive fundamental news can propel cryptos higher. It can do in bear markets as well, but generally it's a bit short-lived as traders try and jump on that opportunity. For me, this looks like a pretty clear danger zone. There are other cryptos that you could probably look at that might be just pre this moment, but I wanted to show you what a breakdown can look at. Now, we just have to be careful that we're not looking at another false breakdown like we saw over here. You can see here it broke down there and then rallied a bit higher. What I think is different in this instance is, again, how close it is to the apex of this move. So we're expecting a decisive move either way. Also, the volume coming in was quite strong. So when it broke through this diagonal resistance, diagonal support, I should say, it fell right through and volume really kicked in on the sell side. So that tells me that sellers are really committed here. We're going to have to really watch when this, I guess, this move here comes back and tries to retest that support now turn resistance underneath. It may not even get there. I'm thinking it comes down to potentially this next level here. It's just holding on to this volume box here. So it's got a bit of room to move here down to another, say, 5-6% down to the bottom of that volume range. And then if it can't hold there, if it continues to go, it likely comes down to this week. And then this huge liquidity zone down here. It's a relatively new crypto, so it doesn't have a tremendous amount of previous data to go by. But you can see in this drop here how low the RSI got. We're still in that almost mid-range area. So I think we've still got a little bit more room to go. And this to me just screams like this is a breakdown. It wants to find a lower floor. So yeah, nothing really bullish about this chart. It's going to have to see something pretty special for it to reverse from here. So very much my danger zone for the week. I wanted to move on over to SHIBA INU. It is my one to watch. We talk about SHIBA a lot. It has been looking reasonably strong throughout this entire period, but it just hasn't been able to move higher. It had that real strong wick up out of nowhere. Dogecoin and SHIBA INUs can just pump for random reasons, but regardless, it ran into that moving average, and ever since it has just been in this constant downtrend. You can see they're just wicking up, creating these lower highs all the way down and creating new lows. Right now, though, it's in a really interesting spot. Now, you could argue this looks like a danger zone. You sure could. But for me, I'm looking at this going, this is crucial horizontal support that goes back to close to the beginning of the year before we had that massive capitulation. It also goes back previously. It was the horizontal when we had the breakout in 2021 for that enormous run. So this is a crucial support level that does not want to lose. We're also seeing a tremendous amount of volume support this level as well. So SHIBA INU does not want to lose this level, or it's going down to this range low here, and then you could look at even lower. But right now, we're just looking at the charts. This looks like a pretty strong support level here until it breaks. And if we pull up the Fibonacci retracement, you just see that just below where the edge of this volume support is, the 0.786 Fibonacci retracement level is. So these are mathematical levels that price tends to gravitate towards. Traders use them, investors use them, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the bottom of the move to the higher move, then the retracement coming back to that 0.786. So what I really want to see from SHIBA here is to stabilize, find that support. So if you just zoom in, you can see that it tried to go lower, but it was bought up pretty quickly with this green wick. And now it's trying to build here. It wants to get above this 21 moving average on the daily and start to create some higher highs and higher lows. So something similar to this, let's say, wants to do that, and then it's going to have to really contend with this moving average. We'll cut through here, but that's a little bit down the line. That's what you want to see. I'm not sure whether this down move is complete just yet, but it is certainly one to watch. We don't have much volume coming in here either, so for me, that still suggests that there might be a larger move at play here, potentially to the downside. RSI, looking weak, creating new lows here. So yeah, we're just going to have to really pay attention on it. Will it hold? For me, it is just such long-held support. You can't, if you were trading this, you'd look at any break of that, you would short the hell out of it if it went lower. But here, if you're an investor, you're looking at these longer-term the cycle plays. This is a really nice looking area to begin to accumulate at crucial support. Then you'd layer in a bit lower, going down to the next support level, and then so on and so forth for that longer term. But right now, yeah, not 100% sure what's going to happen there. And if I did, no, you shouldn't believe me. So we're looking at that. Yeah, SHIBA is absolutely one to watch. All right, let's move on to my cherry right, which is MATIC. So as I said in my intro, MATIC was, it's not the best looking chart I've ever seen, but out of all the top level, all the higher market cap charts, this is every bit as good as any of them. In terms of how the positive setup is going. So MATIC has been in this lower high downtrend for a little while here, but it's coming towards that apex of this pattern here, this triangle, and it's climbed back above into it. So we're really seeing this move here where it's going to play out. Now, again, we don't know if it's going to be to the upside or the downside, but a few things in MATIC's favor right now here are that it's above the 21 moving average, which is always a nice guidepost, should be a cushion for a more bullish phase of the market. It's also rallied back above the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. So that is a great sign as well. So if I just draw the fib there, you can see it had the move up higher, had the breakdown in accordance with the falling RSI as well, and the breakdown lower high. And then it reached the 0.5 level. Now, in deeper retracements like we saw on SHIBA, it can get quite low. 0.618, so 61% retracement, or 0.786, absolutely. Also pay attention to these volume profiles over here. So the 0.786 looks like a really, 0.618 looks like a really strong level because it's confluent with strong volume. But in the middle here, there's not much at all, which is a little bit surprising that it bounced so well off the 0.5, but it did. So there is strength there, which is really interesting. But this here that it bounced, so they got the low, then that lower low, but now it's bounced higher and it's trying to create a lower high. So if I just pull out my brush here, got this low here, and you can clearly see that this move is that higher low process. So what MATIC really wants to do now to cement that it's going to move higher is hold this volume support here, maintain above the 0.382, because that's what it's trying to do right now, retest this green line here, if you can see that there, and then bounce higher and get a little bit higher than this candle here and this candle here. So first of all, let's get above that. So create that higher high and then get above this one in line with breaking out of this downtrend. And you've also got the 200 daily moving average for MATIC. So there is overhead resistance, but if it can do those few things in this small area, and if the volatility really comes in, because this downward trend is quite visible, that it's compressing into the apex of this triangle, we should see some kind of big move here quite soon. I also like on the RSI that MATIC is holding a nice middle ground about 50. If you notice back on the last couple of charts I've shown you, which looked quite weaker, the RSI was trending a lot lower downwards, and it was probably below 40, if not lower. So this here gives me a bit more confidence. It's in that middle ground, so it has a bit of power behind it if it wants to move higher. So I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys. But if MATIC does break out, we'll really see this. We've had these buy signals on here for a little while, because it has been a one to watch, has been a cherry ripe from time to time. 1.3350 is probably that nice looking level that you want to aim for, because it was the previous support, now turn resistance before the June breakdown. That's where you'd want to see MATIC over a midterm really start to race towards, once it can break past the dollar level, which would be a key psychological area. Really though, we want to get through the 200 daily moving average, and also this volume bar here, which will provide a little bit of resistance. But once it is above this, it is gap city. So this 1.3350 is absolutely a target. But just pay attention to all these factors, guys, because sometimes you can miss these things, especially in these moments as well. But overall, the bias is bearish, so it's more skewed towards the longer term investor or the short term trader right now. So just keep that in mind. Be patient, wait for the right setup, and go from there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you want to leave any questions or comments, please let me know, and we can get to it later on. So have a wonderful day, and we'll chat on Friday. Bye.